Bengals 2025 schedule coming up next on the Cincinnati podcast. All right, or not. We will be skipping the intro for some reason. It's deciding not to play, kind of like them deciding not to give the Bengals a primetime game at home against the Ravens for the foreseeable future. This is the Cincinnati Roundtable.
I don't know what happened to Ace just now. This is the Wincinnati Roundtable. We are here live with Bengals Pulse. Jake, Maan, how are we doing tonight?
I'll let Bond go first because he's on he's he's at another level.
I'm the salty old man yelling at the sky. I'm not happy about the schedule. We're about to talk about it, and I'll share why. But man, I just I hate the lack of respect for the Bengals. I'm sorry. It's just I see that in the schedule.
Jake, how are we doing tonight? How you feeling?
Man, it's been a crazy couple days, obviously with the Trey situation, and now we get this absolutely ridiculous schedule. I agree with Mon. It just doesn't make any sense. The lack of respect that the NFL has for the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, 3 road primetime games. The Bengals get 1 home primetime, and for the 4th year in a row, I know Mon's going to talk about this. We are on the road at Baltimore on prime time. It's absolutely malpractice the way the NFL handles this schedule for the Bengals.
Absolutely. Before we jump ahead to the schedule, we want to welcome everybody to Wincinnati again. We appreciate everybody. Make sure if you are watching this on Twitter, please make sure you come over to our YouTube. We appreciate the follows on Twitter. Make sure you follow Bengals Pulse 9. If you're on Twitter, I see Rise Up. Edwin, you're commenting on Twitter. Make sure you follow Bengals Pulse 9 on Twitter. Before we get to those other games, the later games and some of the other things, let's just break it in and just talk about like some of the things early on in the schedule. If this is your first time seeing the schedule, welcome. We're showing you the schedule here live on here. Ace, I think you're good now, but we're going to start off preseason. Eagles, Commanders, Colts. Ace, do you have any thoughts on the Eagles? Week 1, defending, Super Bowl champions. Does it mean anything? Is there anything you're looking to see?
Yeah, I'm looking to see if the starters are going to play this preseason. I think everybody is in the Houday community. Obviously, some people feel like that's contributed to the Bengals' slow starts. Whether it's going to be the Eagles, whether it's the Commanders, I think that's when they should do it against at least a formidable team. Who knows if the other team is going to play their starters? I don't know what the Eagles and Commanders' plans are as it stands in May. But my big thing is let's at least play the starters in the preseason so that they don't come out rusty. Zim, what are your thoughts? How do you kind of see the preseason playing out?
You know me, I like to get my bragging rights and talk a little trash. I don't really get too much out of the preseason. So if this were regular season, I would like to shut a lot of Eagles up because that game, remember, that's our one blowout game that we had last year. If you really go back and look, Phil was a problem in that game, but also the Bengals had a lead, going into the third quarter of that game, and it got out of hand. And that's our one game. And so, like, Eagles fans be talking crazy, like, you guys suck, da-da-da. And I'm like, but it's preseason. I would like to see Joe Burrow get out there 2 series just to get it started. I want to see a lot of the guys, like, even like a guy like Shamar Stewart. I mean, it's super early. We're in May. But let me see, like, a couple series from him. I'm more interested. I'm probably in the minority in this. I'm not really interested in getting guys, like, hurt or playing really hard for the sake of getting them battle tested for the beginning of the season. I know that a lot of people like, you got to play those guys, and I watch a lot of Steelers and Ravens. They do play those guys early in preseason. I think it does get them battle tested, but they also have a lot of early season injuries as well too. I don't know. It's a tricky situation. Jake, do you feel anything? You're a coach. Do you feel anything about like maybe the injury risk as it pertains to preseason?
I'll tell you, as a football coach, I hate preseason games. Absolutely hate them. It's to me, it's a meaningless way to go out on the field and risk things that could be very serious when it comes to the regular season. I'm not a fan of preseason games. I do think, though, that the Bengals are in a situation where if they don't handle it a certain way, there's going to be a lot of heat, especially if they start off slow once again. To me, that Washington Commanders game, that Monday Night Football game against the Commanders, that is going to be the interesting preseason game for me, because if Joe Burrow is going to play, if we are going to see these starters play, it's going to be against the Commanders on Monday Night Football. So I think, to me, that's the game that is circled. I think that will tell a lot about how the entire offseason, and if Zach Taylor actually, went a different direction and played these guys and, is a little bit more physical in camp. I think that Washington Commanders game is going to give us a vision of if the Bengals changed up or not. Maan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the Washington Commander game is going to be the dress rehearsal. It used to be when we had 4 preseason games, the third game was the dress rehearsal for the season, and they sat the starters week 4. The Commanders game, I agree with you, Jake. Preseason is meaningless, but the Bengals cannot have another slow start. They can't have it. I mean, the schedule's tough. They got four of those first 6 games pretty brutal, and a majority of them on the road. They have got to play the guys. They have got to get ready. It doesn't always have to be the preseason game. Zach Taylor has to do something different in training camp. There has to be a little bit more physicality. What does Mike Tomlin say? A prize fighter can't go in the ring if he doesn't spar. So he's going to have to do something. He's going to have to get in there. He's going to have to reach down deep inside and get this team ready to come out and play. And I think, I could see Joe Burrow and company playing into the second quarter against the Commanders.
And I think, I was just going to say really quick, too, on Maan's point. Maan is 100% right that the Bengals cannot start off. They need to start off 2-0, right? At Cleveland, Jacksonville at home. That should be a 2-0 start. The Bengals cannot come out and drop one of those first 2 games, because we're going to talk about it in a minute. The next 3 games are pretty damn tough.
We got to be 4-2 at the end of the first 6.
Those 2 games, I think they'll tell me a lot about the season. I don't care that they're revamping the defense. I don't care about none of that. It would be inexcusable to lose those first 2 games of the season. And regardless of what happens from it, you're going to know after that, are we preying on a 2021 Bengals miracle, or they just don't got, or do we, or are we a 9-8 team? It's him. Like, as we get through the rest of the schedule, I'm not saying that they can't come back and do their thing and end up like 2022, but my stance on this season, the roster's nowhere near that. So thinking you could go 0-2 and then coming back and then just they have to come out, build the confidence, just like anything else in life.
Yes, sir.
And they got to assert like themselves in whether, and I think that goes a long way. So then if they mess up throughout the season, we're not looking back and saying, damn, I wish we could get that week 1 Patriots game back. There's no way the Cleveland Browns come in with Flacco, who I don't care. If he comes out there dinking and dunking on some Russell Wilson, Mike White stuff, the linebackers that they got show me that they better go get them. And if they come out and they're throwing bombs or whatever, then we better get a lot of interceptions. Like, don't you feel like this? Like, are y'all even thinking that the offense will have problems, like, on these games? Like, is that a concern? Like, I know Joe's struggled with Cleveland before, but Bengals have won 4 out of the last 5 games against the Browns. I
think they'll have some growing pains here at the beginning of the season, maybe a little rusty. But I agree with what you're saying. Every year, the last 3 years, the Bengals have to have an unbelievable November and December to be considered, to try to get in the playoffs. They won their last 5 games. That's a lot of pressure on that team, and they seem to react to it well. But it shouldn't always be that way. Let's start off strong. And you know what? Joe doesn't have to be Superman in November and December. I'm telling you right now, Zach Taylor, numbers are numbers. As head coach, his September record is horrible. He's got to reverse that this year. He's got to.
And I think too, really quick, that you look at this schedule, the way it's set up, this Bengals offense, there is no way in hell this Bengals offense starts off slow. I really don't. We had the Jamar situation last year, all that stuff was going on last year. So the offense, it obviously did not look very well that first week against the New England Patriots. So this year, though, you don't have anything hanging over that offense. Now, obviously, we have some stuff going on with the defense. You got a new defensive coordinator, a young defensive squad. The offense is going to have to carry this team the first couple games. Yeah. And they should be able to, but the offense is going to have to come out and score a lot of points those first couple of games, because Maan's right. There's going to be a lot of growing pains when it comes to this defense, and hopefully the Trey situation is handled before then as well. But if not, the defense
just jump the gun. We're going to talk Trey later in this episode.
So for those watching or just listening in the car, make sure you head on over to YouTube, check it out. We've got the graphic up. But for those who are just listening, the Bengals open the week with week 1 at Cleveland in the Cleveland Browns Stadium. Week 2, they open at Paycor, so that's their home opener against the Jaguars. It's a 1 o'clock game. Both of those two are 1 o'clock games. Week 3, they travel to Minnesota at US Bank Stadium on the 21st of September, another 1 o'clock game at the Minnesota Vikings. And then they go again to Mile High Stadium to take on the Denver Broncos. I believe that is looks like that's a primetime game. So it's an 8-15 game, first primetime game of the season.
Monday night.
You guys kind of talked about the importance of them getting off to a fast start. You guys kind of talked about the Browns game. What are your thoughts on the other games? Because I feel like the Jaguars, that's going to be a tricky game. I think you're going to get some situations there. I really like the J.J. McCarthy game because he's still a young quarterback. I think that kind of bodes well for the Bengals. And then you talk about at the Denver Broncos. We all know how that game went at the end of the season. I feel like this is a pretty good stretch. I know that it's 3 out of the 4 on the road, but I feel like this is the NFL saying, all right, Bengals, you guys are going to get off to a start. We're helping you here in terms. Now, they didn't give us any help at the end of the schedule. We'll get to that. But how do you guys feel about this first 4 games?
Before we get to that, I just got to read this. Shout out to Fuzzy. He says, even though 3 of the first 4 games are on the road, I feel like we can go 3-1. If we do that, we'll have a great season. It will be a great season. So shout out to Fuzzy for saying that. Maan, do you have any thoughts on what Ace is asking, and maybe have any thoughts on what Fuzzy is saying?
Yeah, I agree, Fuzzy. We need 3-1 would be great. Listen, week 1 in the NFL is always unpredictable. To me, it's the most exciting week of football, but also the most unpredictable. Look what happened to us last year. There's no reason for us to lose to Cleveland. We got to go in there and take care of business and just get out of there. And hopefully Jake Browning's playing in the fourth quarter because we're killing him. But absolutely no excuse to lose that game. Jacksonville, I agree, but it's a home opener. There's no way we lose that game. I think we do start off 2-0. Now, at Minnesota won 13, 14 games last year. Denver is going to be a tough game. That shootout last week was one of the top 10 games in the NFL last year. Man, if we lose one there, I'd rather lose to Minnesota and beat the AFC team in Denver. 3-1 would be optimal, Fuzzy, right. And I hope that happens. Right. We got to win one of those road games in the first 4. Or at Minnesota, you know what I mean.
I agree. I'm gonna use a little bit of coach speak, I guess. It's hard for me to just say I'm trying to go 3-1. I'm trying to go 4. I want to take it 1 game at a time. I know that we're in May. We're doing a show, looking at the schedule. I just think that just looking at some of the Browns, they have to come out and establish I think the last time we played the Browns, wasn't it like 24-6 or something like that? It should be an ugly game where we move that out the way. Like to me, that's so important for this team. They can't feel like anything is down. Like defense has to come out more than anything humming because at some point the offense will pick it up. To me, the defense is like that. The Jaguars one, I think that, Brian Thomas is a big matchup. I think that that's a big matchup for our corners in Travis Hunter and a legit quarterback. I think that has the makings of maybe being a shootout. The Vikings one, from the trash talking Zim standpoint online, I don't know if you guys know this. This Jettas versus Jamar thing for like the young Bengals fans is a big deal, a very big deal. So from like a content standpoint, Jamar versus Jettas is like made for TV. The Broncos game, I think their front office is now rising to this point where even, and we might talk about this later in the show, I think that you could look at some of the moves that they've made recently and say, I wish we could do that. And their defense, what they added this all season, they have the makings of being the number one defense in football. They led the league in sacks for most of the season last year. They did a lot of different things. I think defensively, that's a big matchup. And them Broncos fans and the Bronco players, they don't like the way that season ended where Joe Burrow just carved them up crazy. I don't know if you've seen the interview that Nick Bonito had where he just said Joe Burrow just flat out embarrassed us, did anything we wanted. We thought we were like that. And then he showed us like he just got the ball out there so quick. I think that those games, that Bronco and those Vikings games, those are real games. I think a lot of teams look at us and say, oh, it's just the Bengals, whatever. I think a lot of our fans will be like, it's just the Vikings, it's the Broncos, because you're not thinking they're in the big four. But those are real games right there to me. But I think it's all about those first two games. They have to come out and dominate, bro.
Yeah, 100%. They have to be 3-1. I'm going to tell you right now, 3-1 is a must because I know we're going to talk about the next four, but those next three games after those first four are tough. And there's again, you know, we're playing the NFC North, which has become one of the better divisions in football. If you don't start 3-1, there is a span where you only have 4 days in between the Packers and the Steelers. I'm going to tell you, this is a sneaky tough schedule for the Cincinnati Bengals, the way that this whole thing has been set up.
Jake, real quick, 5 consecutive playoff teams we play.
Yes.
5 in a row.
Yes. Five consecutive. And not only that, but 4 of the first 6 games are on the road. That's tough, guys. To start the season off, 4 out of the first 6 on the road is tough. But I want to get to these next 4 because I really think these next 4, to me, are going to determine what direction this Bengals season is going to go very early on. I think easily the Bengals could be 3-1 the first 4 games. But those next 4 games, guys, are tough.
Go ahead and talk about it, Jay.
Well, I mean, you know, again, those first 4 when you end on the road at Denver on Monday Night Football. Again, it's a short week from Monday to Sunday. You have to play the Detroit Lions, who I think we could all say might have arguably the best overall roster in the NFL. Now, you do get them at home, which I think is a bonus because those guys on turf are extremely fast. Then after Detroit, at Green Bay, which is not going to be an easy football game. And then you have another short week because you play the Pittsburgh Steelers at home that following Thursday. So you go at Green Bay, then Pittsburgh at home with only 4 days in between. Guys, that is brutal. And then, you know, the New York Jets at home, I think we can chalk that up as a win. But again, 3-1, the Bengals need to go 3-1 because, guys, those next 3 games are brutal. I mean, Detroit, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh, that is not an easy stretch. And 2 of those games are on the road.
Hey, what was our record at home last year, guys? Do you remember? At Paycor?
Our record at home, is that what you said, Maan?
Yeah.
I want to say it was maybe 2 or 3 wins.
That we can't have that in 2025.
Yeah.
3-5. 3-5.
3-5. Yeah, I thought it was something like that. Yeah, Three and 5. I mean, obviously that's why we were sitting at home in the playoffs, right, guys? You can't lose 5 home games. You're never going to make the playoffs losing 5 home games. And I think we could argue that our home schedule last year was, I don't want to say it was easy, but it was definitely easier than what we're looking at this year.
Yeah. That makes me love Burrow even more because he's tough on the road. I know we're getting worked up here, but we got Joe, and Joe I trust. But, man, yeah, you're right, Jay. This first 8 games is tough.
To give myself an organic experience, we briefly talked about some of the games later on. This is my first time really watching this. I was like outside when the schedule released, so I haven't really seen this because this is a rough stretch.
Yeah,
it's a rough stretch. I mean,
those last 2 games and then going to the Lions, Packers, and Steelers right after that.
Yeah.
The Steeler game's at home. It's a primetime game at home, I think, right? Yes, it is.
Yes, it's a primetime game, but
for me, I think if they get off to that 3-1 stretch, this is where I feel like it goes up a little bit, right? Detroit, I think that Detroit lets you know exactly where you stand early as a Super Bowl contender, right? Like, even if they lose that game in a shootout, I think you feel good, coming out of that game. I think the Bengals can win that game, but that's the benchmark I think that you get as a test. Then you go to Lambeau. That's a tough place to play. But we got Joe Burrow. Like, he's played in these environments. He's played in Kansas City. Like, I don't look at these games and worry just because of the team that we have. This is a team that can win on the road. This is a team that can put up points, right? Green Bay Packers, that's going to be a good game. Him and Jordan Love going at each other, that's going to be really good. Week 7, is Aaron Rodgers there? We don't know right now. Like, what are the Steelers right now as it stands in May? Like, obviously, most people think Aaron Rodgers is going to go there. But if Aaron Rodgers doesn't go there, you're going to get a really tough defense. But I feel like the Steelers' issue has been offense. Now you don't have George Pickens, who was someone that has been productive against the Bengals. You do have DK Metcalf. But what is the Steelers' kind of nucleus at that point as it stands right now? Then you play a Jets team. I'm not trying to just, write that off as a win, but, I mean, they're giving you the Jets.
Me and Jake are writing that off as a win. That's a win, Coach.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's a dub. So, when I look at this, if they could go 2-2 out of this stretch, I think that's very possible. I think that they could go 3-2 out of this stretch. The stretch that worries me is the one that comes a little long down the line. But Jake did make a great point where he's talking about the short weeks on this one, right? Like, you're talking about that Denver game being a primetime game. Then you have to turn around on a short week and play Detroit. That's just kind of tough. Then you get Green Bay where you have to go to a tough environment. Then you turn around on another short week. That's the part of it that makes it harder for me, is the fact that, like Jay pointed out, it's on a short week. But Zim, what are your thoughts? I know this is your first time seeing this stretch of games. What are your thoughts on this stretch?
So coming off those last 2 games that we were just talking about, the Broncos and the Vikings, those are real games. Those are whatever. You were. I thought you were about to say my point. You got really close to what I was going to say with the Lions. I've been saying all off season, I'm not. This is the least confident I felt in the Bengals since 2021. Ever since 2021, I've been super confident. The one thing I will say this off season, I do think that they've done a lot of things, and I think people will be pleasantly surprised with them in run defense. If the Bengals are able to score top 5 in the NFL, I don't think that they'll have problems this season. Like, as long as their run defense is good. That Week 5 matchup, you were like, yeah, this is going to tell us a lot. If they can't stop the run against the Lions, probably one of the top 3 trenches in the NFL, defensive and offensively. If they can't stop the run and they are unable to run in that game, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, saddle up. Like, this is going to be a long season. And I'm not saying that because you could probably be like, well, Zim, that's one of the best teams in the NFL. We're talking about competing for possibly trying to be a Super Bowl every single year with Joe Burrow. If they can't make their way in that Lions game and they totally look inadequate, that's going to tell you a lot too. The Packers game, I share your same sentiments. We've been there. We've done that before. I don't think, Joe had a problem. That's a good team. I don't think Joe had those problems. I like Joe against the Steelers. All that TJ Watt stuff that everybody talking about, as far as like whatever, me and Ace, we talked about this plenty of times. Myles Garrett is a guy that I'm like, oh, where's he at? I don't feel that way about TJ Watt. Every time that Joe Burrow plays TJ Watt, it's dirty hit after the play. We're beating the damn crap out of him, and the announcer's sucking him off for 60 minutes. He didn't have a stat on the sheet. TJ Watt is at home right now trying to get a contract. TJ Watt doesn't even have a playoff win in his whole entire career. TJ Watt isn't better than Trey Hendrickson. In my mind, I'm a Bengals homer, I guess. But I don't care about the Steelers. I'm done with that. That was my childhood. I'm a man now. I'm a Bengal. I don't care about Bengals. I don't care about Steelers in that game right there. Then the Jets and to me, I think it'll snowball into dubs. Like you take care of business in those games. You'll get a lot of information, win, lose, or draw from the lines, but take care of business against good teams, Packers. I know I'm talking trash about the Steelers. It's still a good team. You know they're going to come to play. Beat the crap out the Jets. Beat the crap out the Bears. Even though I'm very interested to see I jumped ahead. I'm interested to see the Bears now with their coordinator, now with Caleb. I am interested from a football fan to see what that looks like.
Well, I think you look at that lineup of Jets, Bears bye week. I mean, we're basically getting 3 bye weeks because Jets and Bears. That's a layup. The Jets and Bears are a layup, and then you get the bye, which is nice. So I think if you look at this stretch of the schedule again, Jets, Bears bye. I think that is a good stretch for the Bengals to get healthy, get a couple easy wins, and then get ready for what we're going to talk about. I do want to say I love your point, Zim, about that Lions game and what that's going to show, because you talked about it earlier. When the Bengals played the Eagles last year, we saw a future of what was down the line with that Bengals defense and how they just got manhandled by the Eagles, who ended up winning the Super Bowl. So I agree. I think that Lions test early on is very much like what we saw in the Eagles game last year.
Yeah, we talked about that rough stretch, but Jake, you're right. I think the Steelers, Jets, Bears, Steelers again, and the Patriots, that could be, if the Bengals have a rough 6 games, 7 games, they go 3-4, 4-3, something like that. That could be a reset of the season because those games are winnable right now. And you know what? One of those games at Pittsburgh is in Cincinnati on a Thursday night. They have no business losing any primetime games in Cincinnati. No business.
Agreed.
Maan, what are your thoughts on? We talked about the Steelers with that Thursday night game, Week 7. Then you got the New York Jets, Week 8, Paycor Stadium. Then you've got the Chicago Bears, Week 9 at Paycor. You got the bye Week 10. Then you're right back to the Pittsburgh Steelers again. This one is on the road, 1 o'clock game, Week 11. What are your thoughts on that stretch?
Yeah, I think it's one of the easiest parts of our schedule right now. And like I said, I think, if we have a few hiccups early in the season, because that's brutal playing those playoff teams, 5 consecutive playoff teams early in the season, that could be sort of a reset of the season. We go on a little tear there, win 4 out of 5, 3 out of 4. That's very doable. That's the part of the schedule that I'm really optimistic about, because I think it's about to get ugly again after that.
Yeah, I don't know. You think it's going to get ugly with the Patriots?
No. I not that one, but playing Baltimore, short week again. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, I hate to fixate on one game, but I know I'm jumping ahead, and I'm sorry, but playing Baltimore again in Baltimore.
We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. Before you get into it, 1 second. I'm sorry to cut you off. We appreciate everybody checking us out on Twitter. We have to remove the stream from the Twitter. We have to continue this on YouTube. Please come on over to YouTube, to our Wincinnati page on YouTube. We have over 1,000 people on here currently right now. I should see 1,000 people on the YouTube Wincinnati right now. Come on over. We do have to cut the feed to the social media, We appreciate your support. Keep on following us. Make sure you follow Bengals Pulse as well. Keep on following Ace at New Stripe City. But come on over to Wincinnati, and we're going to continue the rest of this. Maan, you were saying.
No, I mean, I'm jumping. I know we're going to talk about it. I'm just there's one game that pisses me off the most. I mean, it's the Baltimore game in Baltimore on Thursday night. I don't know why the NFL does that to us, and it's just 4 consecutive years. I mean, that's I'm scratching my head on that one.
And it's Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving. I know I mentioned this before we started. Dan Horde interviewed the schedule maker for the NFL. His name is Mike North last year. And he asked him point blank, he goes, why is Cincinnati playing in Baltimore again on a short week? And Mike North, the schedule maker, he seemed surprised when Dan Horde told him it's 3 straight years. And I mean, Dan Horde's going to have to put it on his show. He goes, I might have to change that next year. Hey, man, thanks for changing it. He didn't change it. You know, it's just
he's a purple person, man. You didn't know? He's a purple person.
Obviously, he is. He's probably on Steve Biscotti's payroll, the owner of the Ravens.
So from what I see from this standpoint, Caleb Williams, Week 9, I'm not sleeping on the Bears just because I always felt this is something that me and Zim used to do back in the day with Dalton. Whenever I looked at a schedule, and we did this with Burrow, I think his first year, always look at what the quarterback matchup is. If the other team doesn't have a quarterback and I've got the quarterback factor, I'm weighing that heavily. I'm not here to say that Caleb Williams is on par with Joe Burrow, but Caleb Williams could possibly ascend, I think, year 2. I still think we win that game, but I think that Caleb Williams makes it more interesting. Whereas the Steelers, again, I don't know their quarterback situation right now. Obviously, it's going to be a tough out. We're taking on them in Week 11. Week 12 against the Patriots, again, I'm looking at the quarterback situation, Drake May versus Joe Burrow. Yes, this is his second year. Yes, this is Mike Vrabel, but this is Joe Burrow versus Drake May at the end of the day. So yeah. I'm not shaking in my boots from Drake May. Then we get to that Baltimore game, Thursday Night Football, Week 13. But, Sam, what are your thoughts from this row of games, this stretch of games? You can go game by game.
So, at Steelers – I'm telling you, I've always felt really good about the Joe Burrow matches. Like the one when he said we're the big dogs from that point on, that cold night when that game mattered the most, 2022, we went on that crazy run. I just never felt like Burrow ever struggled. Even that overtime game that we had with them, Week 1, remember Ace 2022. I mean, yeah, he threw picks. He came out rusty. He still threw for like 350 after that. Like, he never really looked any type of way against them. And I like that matchup. I thought he looked really good in the game that we lost to last year up until he fumbled, and then we had some things. You know what I mean? He was trying to do too much because of the defense was, like, so damn poor in that game. That might have been our worst defensive game, though. I will say that. That Russell Wilson game is a masterclass in butt cheeks. They were cheeks. That was one of the worst. I watched the condensed version of that. It was horrible. Patriots, you're right. We should smack them. All right, Thanksgiving. Come on, like, I don't want to be stressing, Thanksgiving time. Y'all know I hate the purple people, bro. Like, I just don't want to be with the fam. I don't even want that game on Thanksgiving, let alone, like, I don't know. And Mom was talking about this, and I've seen this too. Their primetime record, it's almost like it's a systematic – it's almost like paying your taxes, bro. Like, Ravens Thursday night is like a death sentence for everybody, bro. Like, you could go look at the numbers if y'all don't believe me. Primetime, but especially Thursday night in Baltimore, I think they got like 1 L or something like that. It's crazy. I mean, now Justin Tucker's moved on. I think their new kicker is booming, but
they're like their preseason record. Aren't they the preseason kings? They do,
bro. But their record versus the NFC and their Thursday night record are like one of them mind blowing stats. When you see it, you be like, "What? How is that even possible?" The Bills. I had a conversation with a couple of those guys on my timeline today. They told me they're looking forward to the Bengals, and I was like, "Oh, I thought." Y'all said that we weren't really nothing. They're like, y'all not. Y'all ain't made the playoffs in 2 years. So
Yeah, and that when we talk, when I sit here and talk about layups, listen, it's not easy to win the NFL. I think we all understand that. But the Bengals, they're a better team than the Jets. They're a better team than the Bears. Those are home games. Those are layups. They are better than New England. That's a layup. Those games have to be wins. They are better than those teams, and it's not even close. The Bengals are better than the Jets, the Bears, and the Patriots, and it's not close. Pittsburgh, I'm starting to get that same vibe. Honestly, Zim, I've been to a lot of heartbreaking losses against the Steelers. I've seen crazy games where there is no way in hell the Bengals would lose, and they find a way against the Steelers. They had our number for so long, but I am starting to feel a little bit more confident about those games. At Baltimore, at Buffalo, that's a slap in the face. I mean, the NFL doing that to the Bengals is, to me, extremely disrespectful. Now,
Jake, you know what it is? It's the coin flip all over again.
It is.
Yes.
It is a coin flip all over again. And I'm going to tell you, I was at that game that caused the coin flip, and I'm going to tell you, the Bengals, what the Bengals did in the first part of that game before tragedy struck, they were gonna put 30 on them. I mean, they were going to destroy the Bills. They're going to run them out of Paycor. I am not scared of the Bills, guys. The Bills do not scare me. There are other teams on this schedule that I'm much more worried about than the Buffalo Bills. Joe Burrow owns Josh Allen's ass. Those games haven't even been close. They haven't even been close. So the Bills don't scare me. At Buffalo does not scare me. But at Baltimore, at Buffalo, Baltimore, I mean, gee, come on, NFL. You got to be better than that. That is so disrespectful. And again, we're talking about short weeks. So we're talking about the Bengals playing that last Baltimore game, and then well, I don't want to get into it any further, but those are tough weeks for the Bengals. However, I will say this. I love the fact that we get Baltimore both times at the end of the year, because the Bengals, we have this Bengals team, this Zach Taylor's team, they are almost unbeatable in December and January. We have seen it even when this team is not at its best. They are almost unbeatable in December and January. So if we were going to get that crazy stretch, it needed to be at the end of the year. And I actually like the fact that the Ravens are going to get our best. I don't understand the at Baltimore, at Buffalo, Baltimore. I'm curious if anybody is watching, if you have the Ravens schedule, I'm curious who they're playing on December 7th.
Yeah, we need to pull up the Ravens and see.
I'm betting.
Are we just complaining? Are we complaining and there are other teams that have that same fate? I want to go look at their schedule too. I want to ask Ace, do you feel the same way as Jake about playing Baltimore later in the season? Do you prefer that?
I actually do prefer that, because Baltimore, you get to play them later in the season. That's going to be a time where I think this division. I'm just going to be honest. This division is going down between the Bengals and the Ravens, and I think those games are going to decide who kind of wins the division. Because I think we still have that stretch at the end that is where it softens up a little bit. But I think between these two teams, I'm not worried about playing the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. I just looked up their record. They're 11-7 on Thursday Night Football. So they don't have this commanding thing. No, I remember the Dolphins game when they had lost. So I was like, I don't know what their record is, but I don't like that we're playing them on a short week, and then we have the Bills right after that. Like for me, I'm not dodging smoke saying don't give me Ravens, Bills, Ravens. But to do it with the short weeks is just kind of like, come on, NFL. Like, let's be real here. Like, you're going to give me the Ravens and have to turn around.
Yeah, that's my point, Ace, is that when I was talking about the short week earlier, I was talking about that New England to Baltimore week, right? New England, again, I know they're not a great team, but playing an NFL team on Sunday and then going to Baltimore on Thanksgiving night, on Thursday night in a four day span is tough.
Hold on, let me say this. I misspoke a little bit. Thursday night Ravens home record. They've only lost
against a division opponent, against the Steelers, Browns, and Bengals. I think they've only lost one time in like the last 10, 15 years.
I'm looking at just their home record, not their Thursday night record. Their home record, 9 wins, 1 loss.
I don't care. What did Mike Tomlin say? We do not care. I got Joe Burrow. I got Jamar Chase.
I hear you. I hear you. I just wanted to say that, that in the history of their franchise, they've only lost 1 game at home on Thursday night, and that was the first time that they ever played one, and that was in 1999. Since then, they've never lost a home game on a Thursday night. I just want to
get ready to make history.
I asked that question to you because I do agree with Jake, and I wanted to see, did you feel the same way about playing Baltimore later in the season? I
like playing those games late because I do think that you run the risk with certain things happening, because if Baltimore, which they've done this in the past, you guys know if you don't get if Baltimore is missing anybody, that's going to be their excuse, right? Like, that's the only downside to playing them later, is because their fans always bring that up.
And what will Tomlin say? We don't care.
Their last 6 games, the Ravens' last 6 games are pretty brutal. They play us twice. Then they got their last 2 games are at Green Bay, at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but who do they play in between us, Maan?
Yeah, I can read their schedule off. I mean,
yeah, just tell me who they play on December 7th.
I think Pittsburgh.
No, December 7th they play Pittsburgh. Their last 6 games are Cincinnati on Thursday night, at Pittsburgh. They play at Pittsburgh.
Okay.
No, they play Pittsburgh at home. I'm sorry. At Cincinnati, New England at home, at Green Bay, at Pittsburgh.
Now,
3 of their last 4 on the road.
Now, given what Ace just talked about, I think I don't know, Maan, do you agree? Do you feel like it's the Bengals and Ravens division, or you feel like the Steelers still have a outside chance? All right,
it's Bengals and Ravens all the way.
Bengals and Ravens.
Yes.
Bengals and Ravens. The one thing I can say taken away from this schedule, like I led with at the very beginning, having to close out the end of the season with Dolphins and Dolphins and Cardinal. Dolphins, Cardinal, Browns, right? So even if everything doesn't go your way, I'm willing to bet the Ravens aren't going to cook up the last 6 games of their season. Whereas we have a clear path. If there's a 1 or 2 game lead or something like that, I think you have the opportunity you see to gain the ground because the end of our schedule. And I don't feel as strong as I was earlier with you, Maan, now that I know that the Ravens have to go Bengals, Steelers, Ravens. you know that injury report comes up, guys. You're sore. You got a lot of different things happening in those AFC North matchups. That's a rough stretch for them, and I like the way our season ends, even though I don't like Bills, Ravens. I mean, Ravens, Bills, Ravens. Yeah, I hate that, but
Zim,
it is.
Four of the Ravens' last 6 games are division opponents.
And then the other ones, you said Packers and who else?
Packers. They play the Patriots and Packers, but they play the Packers in Green Bay.
Yeah, that's rough. I think
that is rough.
I think it reminds me a little bit. Remember in 2023 when we were gaining a little ground and we came in a little hot going into the Joe Burrow started playing well, and then we were going into the Ravens, and it was a big matchup. And I think we'll probably have the same circumstance coming up this year, and we got to handle business. And if that happens, I think the pathway to winning the division, we're looking right at it.
And I do want to say this too. I think this is a big part of the schedule. When you look at, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The last 11 games. Now there's a bye week in there, but 7 of those games are at home for the Bengals. So 7 of the last 11 games on the schedule are home games. That is nice. Thank you, NFL, for that.
That is.
The Bengals have to win at home. We cannot go 3-5 last year. You cannot be 3-5. You have a chance. With 7. Again, we have 9 home games this year. Last year we had 8. So this year we have 9 home games. 7 of those games are in the last 12 weeks of the season. The Bengals have, with a bye week, the Bengals have got to win at home. And guys, when you look at the home schedule, it's not bad, right? The away games are tough, but when you look at the home schedule, Jacksonville, Detroit, tough, Pittsburgh, Jets, Bears, New England, Baltimore, Arizona, Cleveland, there's a lot of wins there. They should be, at least for the Bengals. If the Bengals can go, I don't know, say 7-2 at home, it's going to be a great season.
Yeah, it is. I mean, somebody in the comments here, they're talking about Miami and the heat, and it's going to be hot. It's going to be December. It's going to be a comfortable 70 degrees down there. It's not going to be middle of September, 95 degrees. Listen, they just got to take care of business. Jake, you hit it right on the head. They can't go 3-5 at home. That's unacceptable.
You know what's going to happen? It's going to be a bunch of who they chants, and it's going to be some damn Tigers walking down Ocean Boulevard. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of drinks. It's going to be a
Hey, let me tell you.
I might have to open up. Hey, I might have to open up the shirt, let a little taco meat out. You know what I'm saying?
Listen. I'm telling you right now. You guys are not going to want to admit. You've got to come down there with us to Miami because Maan Abel Hassan in Miami, guys.
Tony Montana right here, baby. Tony Montana.
Tony Montana.
If we went out there, I might smoke my first cigar. I've never smoked a cigar. I might smoke a cigar out there just because I feel like Miami, I need a rooftop cigar.
Gotta get a Cohiba.
Ace, pull out that Wincinnati credit card. Get us to Miami. Come on now. Get that.
We're gonna have Vice City neck pillows, and then we turning up for sure. So guys, we got through that schedule just for the people at home. I'm going to go through the schedule just one last time. Then we're going to get into this Trey Hendrickson situation. So once again, that's week 1 at Cleveland. Week 2 is going to be at home against the Jaguars. Week 3 is at the Minnesota Vikings. Week 4 is at the Broncos. Week 5 is at home against the Detroit Lions. Week 6 at the Green Bay Packers. Week 7 at home against the Steelers. Week 8 at home against the Jets. Week 9 at home against the Chicago Bears. Then they have a bye week, week 10. Then week 11, they go on the road to take on the Steelers. Week 12, they play the Patriots at home. They play the Steelers, or not the Steelers, but the Ravens the following week on Thursday Night Football. Then they go on the road again at the Buffalo Bills, then at home against the Ravens week 15. Week 16, they're in Miami with Jake and Maan on the Wave Runner. Week 17, they are playing the Cardinals at home. And then week 18, they end with the Brownies at Paycor. So with that being said, something happened yesterday. There was a little bit of a
What
press
happened?
conference, right? We're watching, everybody's watching on Twitter, and we see this video of this man walking out in a golf uniform, and it's Trey Hendrickson. It's a 6'5" Trey Hendrickson. I'm like, okay. At first, I was confused because I was thinking the first thought that came through my head is, oh, he's there to negotiate with the Bengals. He wasn't there to negotiate with the Bengals. He's walking out like he's about to walk the camp and decides to go on a 23-minute interview talking about his contract situation. What are you guys' thoughts on the situation? I don't know if we wanted to talk about that or just the Trey Hendrickson situation in general. Jake, I'm going to start with you because you had some words yesterday as a football coach on how you felt about this publicity stuff by Trey Hendrickson.
But listen, before I go, I do find did you set this up so Zim and I are next to each other and you two are next to each other? Did you set this up?
We did not. This is not planned.
Let me say this before I talk about what happened yesterday. Let me say this very quickly because I want to make sure I'm on record for this. Trey Hendrickson needs to be in stripes. The Bengals need to get this done. And I think no matter where we are or who we feel is in the wrong here, Trey Hendrickson needs to be on this football team if the Bengals want to seriously make a run at the Super Bowl. Trey Hendrickson is elite. He is a top 5 edge rusher in this league. He deserves to be paid like one. So I want to make sure I have that on record because I am a Trey Hendrickson guy. I'm a huge fan. My son and I got to meet him at the Pro Bowl. He hung out with us. He chatted it up for about 5 or 10 minutes. He is a great dude. I love him. I want him in stripes. Now, in saying that, I will say yesterday pissed me off. And I'll tell you why it pissed me off. It pissed me off from a coaching standpoint, not from a fan, but as a coach. Because as a coach, my number one thing with my players is don't ever put yourself in front of the team. Don't ever cause a situation where the team or you come before the team. So to me, yesterday, Trey did not handle his business the right way. Now, I understand his frustration. I am frustrated with the front office as well. I think we all are because the front office has dropped the ball many, many times. Jesse Bates, Andrew Whitworth, Kevin Zeitler. There's a long list of Bengal players that this front office has not done right by. This situation to me is a little bit different. And again, for me, I think there is blame to go around. I think the front office is to blame because I don't think you as a GM or a de facto GM, whatever we want to call them, I don't think you can come out publicly and say, this guy is elite and we are going to pay him elite, and then you don't pay him. I don't think you can do that. That is a bad look for this front office. However, Trey Hendrickson's agent has severely dropped the ball on this entire situation. And I don't understand why he is not getting called out. I don't understand why he yesterday was not knocking on the door of Mike Brown's office instead of Trey Hendrickson showing up like he just played 18 holes and causing a huge circus at OTAs while his teammates were practicing behind him. So I think there's blame to go around for both sides. I think that Trey Hendrickson, if you're going to do this, dude, do it the right way. Do it the right way. Zach Taylor isn't the one that is causing all this. He doesn't sign contracts. Don't go to Zach Taylor's work and cause a distraction. He's the coach. He's trying to prepare his players to play football, the ones that are there. However, if you have beef with the front office, go do whatever you need to do at the front office. Go set up a media situation right in front of Mike Brown's office and force his hand. But don't go on the practice field and take away from your teammates and the work that they are putting in. That is not the right way to do things, Trey. I love you, dude. I want you in stripes. Bengal fans are, that's the last thing I'm going to say. Bengal fans that are coming out and bashing Trey saying the Bengals don't need him and he's not good against a run. Guys, that is absolutely crazy. This dude should have won Defensive Player of the Year on the worst defense in the NFL. He is a dude. He is elite, and the Bengals need him on this team. But Trey, handle your business the right way, dude. And what you did yesterday was not the right way.
Zim, I know you're short on time, Zim. I want you to get your.
Yeah, I mean, me and you had me and Ace had a conversation.
Oh, it was awesome.
No, look, me and Ace were on the phone, right? So we're like, we're brothers. We're screaming at each other at one point. It's so funny though, because we try to keep it calm. I think people might take it the wrong way, maybe on the show. But sometimes after I have a conversation with him, some of the stuff does stick in my head. And I did walk away feeling from it like, maybe I do need to push that trade, because that's what we've been saying all along. Like how you started off in your whole, trade should be a Bengal. I don't think anybody's not saying that. I just think the way that he's going about it, and that's the part where I agree with Jake. It's like one thing, like he's showing y'all a contradiction in real time. Like he might not feel as confident to go to Mike Brown's office and pull a TJ Watt, I guess, or just go out there and just say whatever. I think him and Mike Brown actually, knowing what I know from players that get along with him really well, you know what I mean? I just feel like Trey wouldn't have a problem talking to him. And I don't feel like what he did anything yesterday to help his case. And that's the part. I'm more upset, not even upset, but just disappointed that he can't see that probably doesn't help his case. Like there's nothing about it other than random kids online talking like Bengals are poverty. Like you're going to get those guys all day that are doing it. I just don't think the Bengals are watching that and saying, damn, we better do something. I think that they're going to say, oh yeah? I think it might do the exact opposite. And I just think that that's bad for him because I want Trey on the Bengals. And he said a couple key points that I think, whatever side you're on, people key in on certain things. Me and you, Jake, we're talking about the whole him bringing his wife into the situation. Everybody's household is different, so I'm not going to speak on like what he should do with his wife. Like everybody's dichotomy of their house is just different. Like me personally, I wouldn't even feel a certain type of way because I don't want people that might disrespect my wife to say something the wrong way and she take it the wrong way. I don't even want her having contact in that regard. And I don't know how he meant that, but I just thought that was a red flag to me. He says that the communication, they haven't communicated with him. So you just set up a microphone in the middle of practice and you knew that the practice was going on. You don't think that communication goes two ways. And he could say, well, they didn't do that. Cool. Whatever he could say, I get that. But he has the ability to walk upstairs. Trey Hendrickson has that level of respect that he could walk upstairs. And the same things that he said in front of the microphone, he could have said those directly to whoever, Katie, whatever, in the front office, and it would have had way more impact. I was going to ask anybody that's in the crowd right now, when's the last time Jake, Maan, Ace, anybody that's watching right now in Wincinnati, when's the last time you had a dispute with your boss and then you went to Twitter or you went to a bunch of people that you don't know that aren't your friends and voiced all of those things? You know what I mean? Y'all ever seen the people that like somebody, that sometimes you be like, man, why are they looking for attention? Why don't they get around their loved ones or want to do that? And it just struck me as like he was trying to cause attention to shed like them more in a negative light. I don't feel like he was trying to like set the record straight on anything because a lot of stuff that he was saying was very contradictory. And I think Trey really means well. And I thought everything that he said, it didn't sound like, I've been doing business for a long time. It doesn't, I know he said that he wouldn't play on it. He didn't sound like a person that would be able to, I don't think he could go that far from May all the way to the end. It wasn't definitive enough and it wasn't a hard stance. If he was really on some psychopath, like I'm not playing for the $18 million that I'm slated to get, he would have just came out there and said, hey, look, I'm telling y'all right now, I'm not playing. Like if they don't give me a new deal, I'm not playing, period. all of that. I just wanted. He was too delicate with the situation to me, and to me, if I'm Mike Brown in there, I'm like, yeah, we're standing on this. Bro, gonna have to play on the 18, or I'm gonna give him the 1 year that I offered. The other thing that he said, and I know I'm being long on my time. His last thing that he said, yeah, we just disagree on the structure. So that's letting me know that they're offering something in a 1 year capacity. Even if that's a raise for 1 year and say it gets close to 30, I know he deserves way more. And like he said, guarantees and respect and all those things. I know that. I hear you. But if somebody got $30 million or close to $30 million, because remember, he's going to make 18, he pretty much let it be known that a deal was offered. Even if, let's say it was 25 and he feels like a low, to say, I have no other options. There's no team that wanted to trade for me. I was given an opportunity to go get a first. Nobody came back with a first. But I'm telling y'all I'm way more valuable for multiple years. I'm telling y'all I want guarantees. I'm telling y'all I want all these things. But nobody gave me a first. But then when this team is giving me the 30 or close to 30 for even if it's just 1 year, and you're just going to say, yeah, I'm good. I'm not playing. I'm just going to sit on the couch. Y'all have fun out there. And I'm going to mess y'all practice up. I just thought it made him look bad. And I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's probably I bet you he's probably the most honorable person you'll ever meet. But I don't think he understood the perspective of people that love this team. Like, millions of people love the Bengals. They love Trey too, but Trey could be gone tomorrow and they'll still love the Bengals. So you got to really be delicate with some of the things that he said. And we're dissecting the 23 minutes, but I just thought it was very he said some incorrect things, and people that want the Bengals to win are going to gravitate to those little small points to say, why are you doing that? And that's all I got.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm following the chain of events that happened, right? So you've got the Katie Blackburn interview, which was very bad publicly in terms of certain things. She's basically saying he should be just happy with whatever the Bengals give him, right? He goes on. There's reports out there. Diana Rossini just on May 2nd gave us an update saying that things were going well. Everything's fine. It's good vibes. They're having really good vibes in terms of his extension, right? So that's a little bit of a change from the last time we heard from Trey Hendrickson, who ended up going on, I believe it was the Pat McAfee show, voiced his frustrations. Then we heard this from The Athletic. So it's very surprising to me that then we get a statement with the Adam Schefter thing from Trey Hendrickson saying, no, I have not heard from them whatsoever. Because you got to keep in mind that the Diana Rossini report came out after the draft. He then comes out and says, no, after the draft, I haven't been in contact with them whatsoever. So whatever that report is that Diana Rossini is telling you that the vibes are good, we're talking the contract, that's not true. I feel like the thing that Trey Hendrickson did, and I feel like you can feel whatever type of way you want to about it, he set the record straight about a lot of things that were not true. There were people saying that his camp knew that he could get a first-round pick for him. He said, we never said that. We never thought that we were getting a first-round pick. We were given the opportunity to go out and see what our value was. To me, that was the good part, was him kind of clearing the air about certain misconceptions that were just floating out there in terms of what he was offered. Did they have something on the table or not? Me personally, I think that this situation from the Bengals, which has always been handled this way, why are you not just talking to the man? Why are you not just communicating to him whatsoever? Even if it's that you guys are not agreeing with the numbers, to not speak to him at all after you just drafted Shamar Stewart, what do you think that is actually sending to him from that perspective? And the other thing about this is, majority in the past, and I think Trey kind of touched on this, is majority in the past, people have just kind of suffered in silence, put out messages through, their agent or through the media and stuff like that. He's attacking this head on because he wants it to be known. He wants to be a Bengal. He wants guarantees in his contract. He feels like he's also trying to shed light on certain things that have been talked about between him and the Bengals. He's talked about how he was promised and told that even though he was unhappy with his contract, that would be remedied and fixed. And guess what? The Bengals aren't doing it, guys. That's why he is upset. That's why he's so desperate to kind of show up and do these things, because he's not being taken seriously. And it's kind of weird when this is a guy that's a first-team All-Pro. He has nothing guaranteed on his contract right now. That is insane. He has nothing. BJ Hill is guaranteed more money than him at this standpoint right now and at this juncture. And when you're seeing guys like Daniil Hunter and all of these guys getting paid, that's another part of it. He's telling you this. No, I'm not going to apologize for asking for more money. But guess what, guys? It's May right now. I'm actually trying to do you a solid, because if you don't sign me, Aiden Hutchinson's going to get signed. Somebody else is going to get signed. And guess what? Instead of you paying possibly $30 million, the number is going to be $40 million now. So we're going to get to a point where if we can't agree at all, we're not going to make this deal happen. You stalling and not talking to me is exactly what got you in the T. Higgins situation, right? That's what's got you paying more money for T. Higgins from what you did before. And here's the thing. We can talk about Trey and what he did with the media. Why aren't the Browns talking to the media? Why isn't Kenny Blackburn talking to the media? They don't talk to the media. They don't talk to the media. So how can you get their attention if they're not talking to you, if they're not reaching out to your agent, they don't want to answer any questions. And when they do answer questions, which Katie did do, it's stuff that would really piss a player off. You should just take whatever it is that we gave you. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't know what the problem with this is. I'm not saying that I have a source. I'm just talking about my years of being a Bengals fan. The Bengals do not like paying people over 30. We know that that's what it is. We know that that's why they're not in a rush to pay Trey. We know that's exactly what the crux is. The other crux is guaranteed money. And the reason that is the Bengals are operating in an NFL standpoint like it's 2010. This is 2025. This is the thing where now these agents are pushing for at least guaranteeing the second year. We're not asking you to fully guarantee the contract, but we need you to guarantee more out of the first year. I don't understand why you don't want to guarantee money for Trey Hendrickson, a first-team All-Pro, a guy that just had 17 and a half sacks, never has been an issue for you in the locker room at all. The time that he's an issue is when he's trying to get paid, which he's basically played for a discount for the past couple of years. Yes, he took the 1-year extension. That is very valid. The reason why is because you only guaranteed him money for the first year. After he clearly showed that he could play, that money essentially was supposed to be more guaranteed money for that contract. Well, guess what? Even though he signed that extension, right now as it stands right now, Trey Hendrickson is not guaranteed another dollar. He needs to get the money that he deserves, and he needs to get paid. And this is my thing, Bengals. I get that you feel like he's 30, he might fall off a cliff. If he falls off a cliff, what is a cliff from 17 and a half sacks? Is it 10? Is it 9? That's still better than what you have in terms of your situation right now. And it really reminds me of the Andrew Whitworth situation because you don't have anybody behind him. If you had leverage to say, hey, we've got this guy that I know can come in and take your spot and do something, it would make sense. It's one of the reasons that they had to keep T. Higgins. Jermaine Burton wasn't the guy. They couldn't sit there and say, we have our second receiver. You can't sit here now and say, we have another edge rusher. Guess what? They did the splits. When Trey Hendrickson is off of the field, shocker, you're the worst pass rusher in the league. That's not a shocker. You had 33 sacks. Trey Hendrickson had 17 and a half of them. For this guy to have to get on TV and bet, a guy that doesn't like going to the media, by the way. This is not a guy that's like he's basically being forced to have to do this to say, guys, I want to stay in Cincinnati. I'm not the bad guy here. I want to be here. They don't want to pay me. They only want to basically offer me a year contract. This is my issue. If he's 31, he can't get a 2-year contract, a 3-year contract that's really a 2-year contract. And Joe Goodberry kind of talked about this. Or a 4-year contract that's really a 3-year contract. You are trying to tell me you do not want to sign an all-pro caliber player for the Super Bowl window? I'm not understanding that. If I had Aaron Donald on my team like the Rams did, and he's in his 30s, I don't think they have a problem with paying him. And my issue is this. I'm not saying that they have to pay everyone, but can you pay Joe Burrow, Jamar, T. Higgins, and Trey? I don't care about anybody else. I really don't. Because if you don't have Trey, who's one of your best players on your team, I don't know how you can sell to this fan base that you're competing for a Super Bowl. So for me, the disrespect of Trey Hendrickson and some of these veterans is just ridiculous. He played under the contract where he was underpaid for years. You want him to play on this one? You're not communicating to him while there are active deals going on. We know how the story goes. We saw it last year with T. Higgins. They were negotiating with T. Higgins. What did they do? They ghosted him. And I keep hating hearing our fans say, "Oh well, these players have to be lying." So everybody's lying. Was Jesse Bates lying? Was T. Higgins lying? Was DJ Reader lying when they said that they didn't hear
Kevin
from
Zeiler?
Yeah.
Yesterday I had a meltdown about Trey. Since 2023, let's do the timeline. His agent got him $8 million more, and it's a horrible contract in today's money when you think about it, all right? Guys, it's been reset. Duke Tobin 2 months ago said at the Combine he has outplayed his contract and he deserves more money. He threw his agent, Trey's agent, a lifeline. It's been reset, all right? So guess what? Start negotiating. Let's pay him like a top 5 defensive end. Ian Rappaport, who's connected, said that Trey doesn't want top Myles Garrett money. He doesn't want Max Crosby money, but he doesn't want $21 million a year. The Bengals, the bad blood started, and nobody talks about this on Twitter. What Katie Blackburn said at the owners' meeting about Trey just needs to be happy, that started the shark attack comment yesterday, unprovoked this, at that press conference. I admit yesterday was a little clumsy of Trey. It was a little clumsy, but he's not a troublemaker. He wasn't on the practice field. He was talking to reporters. He wasn't interacting with the players during that. He was talking to the reporters. He wasn't disrupting Coach Taylor and all that. Now, I want to know this. Coach Taylor sent him a text. In 30 days, you're going to get fined if you don't show up for mandatory minicamp. Why is Zach Taylor sending him that text? Why doesn't Duke Tobin in that front office send him that text? All right. You know what pissed off Trey about that? What pissed off Trey is like, you trying to tell me that they're not going to talk to me for another month? You're letting me know that I'm going to get fined in 30 days? We can't talk for 30 days? Guys, listen, I'm not a hater of the Bengals. I love this organization. We've got a podcast. I'm on this network. I love the Bengals. They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. They don't. You don't let superstar players hit the door. Listen, T. Higgins wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the quarterback at the end of the season telling the front office, I want T. Higgins. T. Higgins would be on another team right now if it wasn't for Joe Burrow.
And Jamar Chase. If they didn't strong arm the Bengals, like I hate that people are acting like Rocky, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase did the heavy lifting for them to be here. They basically were like, okay, you're not signing Jamar Chase unless you take him with T. Higgins. And I get it. His agent, Trey's agent, isn't the best. He's not a good agent. Whatever. I don't care about that. T. Higgins, he got rid of his agent, and you still didn't want to do anything with him until another agent basically tricked you into signing.
Yeah, look at T. Higgins, Trey's agent. You know what? He negotiated a bad contract in 2023. He got a lifeline from Duke Tobin. Do you guys think that his agent's going to sign another subpar contract? Hell no, he's not. He's going to want his guy to get paid what he's supposed to get paid. He has given the Bengals a discount for the last 2 years. That's the way I look at it. It's time to pay the guy. All right. And, they keep on guys, 35 sacks. I mean, I'll say this. I know it's a hot take. He's been the most dominant defensive end in football. He doesn't have Nick Herbig. Alonzo Highsmith. He doesn't have Cam Hayward. He doesn't have Zadarius Smith on helping him out like these other elite pass rushers. He had Zach Carter and Jay Tuafele, and they want to attack him because he's run defense. He had Sam Hubbard on one leg. Sam Hubbard's a great Bengal, but he's playing on one leg for 2 years. I mean, every offensive coordinator knew you got to stop 91. 91's their only real threat. And guess what? He still got 17 and a half sacks. I don't know, man. It was just frustrating. I feel like.
Well, we the front office guys, this is not new territory, right? We have seen this almost feels like every year now there is some kind of a contract situation, or there's something hanging over the Bengals' head right before there's either training camp like OTAs, or even last year what we saw lead all the way up to the regular season. This Bengals front office, they're just not smart when it comes to the practice of business. They just aren't. They aren't. And this is what pisses me off as a coach myself. Zach Taylor's job is to coach this football team. Zach Taylor's job is not to communicate contractual stuff with his players. Zach Taylor's job is not to sign players. Zach Taylor should have nothing to do with any of that.
I disagree, Jay.
He doesn't. Ace, he does not. His job is to coach this football team and win football games. The front office, Duke Tobin, the Blackburns, all of them, they are in the wrong. They are in the wrong for putting all of this on Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor's job right now is to coach this football team, not to run the organization. That's not his job.
That's why. Do they ask coaches to give their input on the draft and free agency? Yes or no?
Do they have what?
Do they ask the coaching staff? Do you think that they talk to Zach when they pick which players they're going to draft, when they pick which players they're going to sign, which players they're going to release? Do you think that they have a conversation with Zach?
Ace, they have to. We only have 2 scouts.
Okay.
Let me say this. Duke Tobin's voice, I think, is heard louder than Zach Taylor's. And I don't think you can disagree with that. I think Duke Tobin's voice is heard louder than Zach Taylor's.
This is what I would say. I think Zach Taylor, as a coach, because I've seen this in the NFL, if a coach goes to the front office, he can at least make that pitch for him. The only reason that I would think that Trey would bring Zach Taylor up is because he doesn't feel like Zach Taylor is going to the bat for him with the front office to say, hey, we need Trey back. But
Trey said, hey, Ace, Trey said, he said, Zach and I have a good relationship. Zach, he has spoke nothing ill will towards Zach Taylor. Everything has been directed to the front office. There has not been anything directed ill will. If you listen to that 23-minute rant, there is nothing in that rant that makes me think that there's ill will, besides the fact that they made Zach reach out to him. What'd you say?
I get a sense that he's not taking up for him. If Zach is saying they're going to find you, that sounds like you're not saying, hey, let's get him in here. Let's make it so. Can you guys talk to him? Can you guys reach out to his people? Yes, Zach Taylor does not write the contracts, but one of the things that I learned along the way is this could be unrelated. I met Peter Ward, right? Draft party. Peter Ward was still mad at Marvin Lewis. You know why? Not because of Marvin Lewis's coaching style or anything. Marvin Lewis didn't go to the bat for him to Mike Brown for them to keep him, and they ended up cutting him. And because Marvin Lewis didn't do that, Peter Ward was upset with him. So I get it. Zach doesn't write the checks per se, but Zach does have an influence on which players he wants to push for, which players that should be taken, treated with respect. Zach Taylor can't go up to them and say, hey, reach out to Trey's agent. Is that so hard for him to do? I get what you're saying, but that just makes me feel like if he's willing to say something about Zach, that makes me feel, I'm just taking it as Zach Taylor isn't going to bat for him with the front office, which obviously Zach Taylor has to deal with the whole team. So that's up to him. But I would think I'll go to somebody, do you want Trey or not? Because this is not looking like Trey Hendrickson could be a Bengal unless it's going to be under weird circumstances. And then the other thing, too, is the fact that they didn't accommodate his trade request. So you want Trey the guy. So basically you're keeping him on this kind of contract situation. I just like to hear from more people involved. I like to hear coaches say, we want Trey here, or we want Trey to be a Bengal, or he needs to be a part of this team. And I think Trey wants to hear that too. I think that's the only part where I feel like Zach Taylor could help kind of bridge that gap. He obviously cannot sign a contract or anything like that. But like, hey, this guy's getting pretty pissed off. Can you guys maybe say something to his agent, at least something? And that's the part where I'm like, we got.
You know what frustrates me the most is like on Twitter, it's not all Bengal fans, but there's quite a few. Man, they love to turn on Bengal players. They turned on Mixon. They even turned on Bates a little bit during his contract situation. I mean, some of the comments about Trey Hendrickson yesterday, you would honestly think that his 35 sacks over the last 2 years has been a fluke. People are so hung up about his rush D. Hey, you know what? There's 4 people that play on the defensive line, and our defensive tackles were probably bottom 3 in football until McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins played a little bit better. And, you know, I mean, guys, it starts there at the defensive tackle spots and the linebacker position. You know, our run D hasn't been the same since DJ Reader left. But they want to pin all that on Trey Hendrickson? Trey Hendrickson, 35 sacks.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Well, and again, listen, you and I are going
to
agree.
All-pro run defender in a passing league. Is that what you guys want, guys? All-pro run defender.
Well, I said that earlier. I think it's absolutely insane to turn on Trey. Listen, rushing the passer is part of this. It's part of winning in the NFL, right? It's a specific skill, and he is one of the top 3 in the NFL that does it. He is needed on this football team. We're going to agree to disagree on this, Ace, because I'm just telling you that I would be shocked. I would love to know how many coaches in this league have say over the GMs and the owners. I don't think that they have say. I think that they have input, though. Like if a coach doesn't like the quarterback and you're like, well, let's get this guy out of there. I think the GM and the coach go hand in hand. Duke Tobin and Zach Taylor have to be on the same page. If that's the case, they should be. They should be. I don't know.
There are situations where I'll say this: Marvin Lewis and Duke Tobin weren't on the same page with John Ross, right? How did that end up transpiring? John Ross didn't play. Marvin Lewis pitched him the first opportunity that he could. So sometimes you have to be on the same page when it comes to some of that stuff. I don't want to insinuate anything, but
we don't know.
How much Zach Taylor was going to bat for Joe Mixon when it came to are we going to keep Mixon or not?
I think this is the hard thing is we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? We don't know if Zach Taylor has done any of that. I don't know if he has. I can't honestly say if he has or not. I think we don't even know what has been offered to Trey Hendrickson, which again, if I'm the front office, well, we know what he's not getting, but we don't know what
he's rumored to have offered 1 year, like 20, 23, 25 million. That's what the rumor is.
That would be crazy. That's insane. If that's the case, that's ridiculous.
He was lowball. He has said that he was lowball. So that lowball offer has been there, and then they have not come back to the table. It's the same thing over and over. It was the same thing it was the same thing last year with DJ Reader. They lowballed him. It was the same thing with Jesse Bates. They lowballed him. And then they didn't hear anything from him. Like, this isn't new, guys. Like, they're doing the same thing. No. And if we're expecting some kind of difference, it's not there. I hope that they get it done. If Trey Hendrickson has to play for $16 million, I don't mind that. I think it's like, damn, we better win a Super Bowl, but
we're not going to get the best Trey Hendrickson.
You're gonna piss him off to the point where he doesn't want to be a Bengal anymore.
Yeah. Jake, the first Pat McAfee interview he did, the very first one he did, he mentioned the problem with the contract offer from the Bengals was the incentives. They wanted team-based incentives. Go to a playoffs, go to the Super Bowl, go to the AFC Championship game. He gets $1 million, $2 million. He didn't want team-based incentives. He wanted incentives more on his play, if they had any incentives at all. So, the Bengals might say, yeah, we offered him 30, but 8 of that could be incentives. So it's not, it shouldn't be this hard, guys. He's first team All-Pro.
Let me ask you this.
First team All-Pro. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this, Maan. So we have this situation with Trey. Wouldn't you guys love? I mean, again, in all of this nonsense, where is Duke Tobin? Again, that is what pisses me off. Where is Duke Tobin? because we don't hear anything from him at all. You look at all these other NFL teams in the league, and their GMs are right there in front of the cameras. Duke Tobin thinks he only has to talk 3 times a year. Well, that's not the case. When things like this happen, it's the GM's responsibility to come out. And if Duke Tobin were was doing his job like he should be, he would come out right now and say, listen, this is where we are with Trey. This is what we have offered Trey. He has not accepted it. This is where we are. Not, hey, Zach, can you text Trey and tell him we're going to fine him in 20 days? That is so cowardly. That is so cowardly by Duke Tobin and this front office to make the head football coach, again, whose job is to coach and win. That is his job, not to run this team financially. His job is to coach and win. For Duke Tobin to do that, to me, just speaks everything.
That's what they do, Jake.
It started with Marvin Lewis. It started with Marvin Lewis.
Marvin was a GM. This is why we thought Marvin was a GM. Because guess what, guys? You know who's going to have to answer these questions? It's going to be Zach Taylor. It's going to be Zach. Duke won't be there. Until we get mock turtle soup, we are not going to hear anything from anybody.
What were you going to say, Ron? Ma, what were you going to say?
I was going to say it all started with Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis became the face of the franchise. He answered all the questions. Yes. Even when it came to – I remember there was a game in Arizona where Mike Brown had an issue and had to fly back to Cincinnati. Marvin Lewis was the face of the organization talking about it. Marvin Lewis has to get ready for a football game. He's talking about the health of Mike Brown. I mean, it's just that's what I was trying. You can't make it up. And so Zach Taylor, last year it happened. Zach Taylor, the microphone was in front of his face. What's going on with Chase? What's going on with Chase? The guy can't even focus on getting his team ready for the New England Patriots.
Remember what happened with that, Maan? He said something about Jamar Chase, and then the next day Jamar Chase wasn't there.
Yeah.
He said something like he was going to be there, and then the next day Jamar Chase wasn't there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frustrating, guys, because this should not be happening right now. In where we are, we took care of two of the 3 big ones. That it's like we cleared the air of all that. And where is Duke Tobin? Duke Tobin stood on the podium at the draft and said, "This guy deserves to get paid. We need to pay him." And guess what? Now we're in this situation right now because Duke Tobin he's a joke of a GM. It's a joke.
Guys, I gotta take off. But great show, and I appreciate you guys, but I gotta get.
All right,
we're about to wrap this up. I was gonna say, Jake, what was I gonna say?
No, I was talking about Duke Tobin and how it's just a joke. Like the whole GM, whatever he is, whatever you want to call him, it's just a joke. The GM should be the face of the franchise when there are issues that are going on behind the scenes, not the head coach. Especially when it comes to financial situations, it's not the head coach's job to handle that stuff. And again, Zach Taylor texting Trey Hendrickson, dude, I'm telling you right now, there is no way that did not come from the front office. There is no way. Because Zach Taylor, I'm telling you right now, Zach Taylor is focused on, or should be hopefully, focused on the players that are in training camp right now and getting this team to come out and win on opening weekend and not go 1-3 again. That's what Zach Taylor's worried about right now, not if Trey Hendrickson, what he's getting guarantee-wise. That's not his job.
Well, you know who was the happiest person that Trey Hendrickson was there yesterday? Shamar Stewart, because he still hasn't signed his freaking deal. And now that took the spotlight off of his situation and put it on Trey. Hopefully they can get a deal done. I think that there's still an opportunity for this thing to work itself out. The guy clearly still wants to be a Bengal. He's booking flights to Cincinnati from Florida in the middle of the summer about to be. He's showing up on all these podcasts and showed up to a local Cincinnati station with his freaking jersey on. Just get this guy in stripes. Let's work it out.
I want to be clear about this, Ace. I am all for all of that. I am all for all that because that puts emphasis on the organization and behind the scenes. The practice field, Ace, it's just not the place to do it. That is what upset me as a coach, because that is
the only thing, Jake. Only pushback is that's where the media was at. They're going to be out there covering camp. I don't know where else would he meet with the media.
You don't think if Trey Hendrickson said, "Hey, meet me down at the Holy Grail," they wouldn't come down there and meet him? I mean, are you shitting me right now?
I mean,
If Trey Hendrickson tells the media, "Hey, meet me down at Cook Sporting Goods," they're going to be at Cook Sporting Goods. They're going to be wherever Trey Hendrickson wants them to be. That was just not the time and place. He knew the media was going to be there. It's OTAs. I just was not happy with that as a coach. That is what my point is, because I know as a coach, those things, even though the players are not right there in that immediate location, they are watching that. They are seeing that going on. It is a distraction. The practice field is not the place. I'm going to tell you where the place is. On the doorstep of Duke Tobin is where Trey Hendrickson and all the media should have been, instead of on the practice field.
Well, we know they won't. We know they have all the smoke for our players, but they don't mess with ownership. I don't know if they're worried that their credentials will get revoked or what. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Wincinnati podcast. I am Ace. He is Jake. We went through at the beginning of the show, we went through the NFL schedule for the Bengals. We also talked about the Trey Hendrickson situation. So please be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Before we get out of here, we got to talk to our sponsors over at Midwest Best Bar.
Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. And much love to Mama T, Uno and CTB. MB's got Bengals wings, and now we just added T's. 9 to 5 winning things. Gritty for Uno wings. We say yes, Sirski now. Like Aces and be saying that T got them new wings. Only at MB's. Honey lemon peppers. Now you can call them T's. Honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins. Or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins. Or you say number 5.
That was nice. I ain't gonna lie.
That was nice. Saw some Buffalo Bills in there. Saw some Vikings in there. On brand Midwest Best Barbecue. Check them out. 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Hot honey lemon pepper. I just had some of those this weekend. That flavor is amazing, so make sure you check them out. Great place to eat. Great place to order. You can order some from MidwestBestBarbecue.com. Let them know Ace and Zim sent you. Jake, was there anything that you want to say before we get out of here, bro?
No, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having Maan. And guys, follow us on Twitter we are now at the Bengals Pulse on Twitter. So make sure you check us out. Follow us on Twitter. Right now we are Tuesdays and Thursdays right here on the Wincinnati Podcast Network. Again, we'll start tuning it up a little bit as we get a little bit closer to training camp. But thanks for having us, man. As always, we love you guys. You guys have done so much for us, and we always appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you guys too, and we appreciate everyone for tuning in to the Wincinnati Podcast Network.
Hooday.
Hooday.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.